Hey Mark, welcome to the GAC RMHC Golf Classic. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your dress position and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your dress position, let's take a look at your setup. Posture looks pretty good. Spine straightened on a nice tilt. Legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down nice and naturally in front of you, and the club works out to the golf ball. Looks awesome. So good posture and also really good balance here from you. Now, as we move into your alignment, that's a little bit of a different story here. We can see that your feet are aiming way left. Carry that out towards the intended target. Now, theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet. Parallel lines on camera will have an appearance to converge. So once that scenario happens here, we can see that we're set up way out here to the left. Now, you probably set up like that because you're accustomed to starting the ball somewhere probably a little bit left, and then obviously leaving the face open with a major out to in swing path, and you hit these big fades or slices. And we'll get a sense of that in just a few minutes here. So let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison between you and Jordan Spieth. We've got some color-coded lines up on the screen just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. So we're going to take a look at Jordan and get a concept of, exactly how the club should be moving in accordance to great alignment. So what we can see with Jordan Spieth is that, he is aiming right over the corner of that fairway there, so his feet are running in this direction. Again, we carry that out. Parallel lines will have an appearance to converge. So he's set up right over the corner of that fairway because it drops down to the right, and he's got his feet, knees, hips, shoulders, and arms all running in that same direction. So if he wants to hit the ball straight based off that alignment, we have to swing the club on plane. Well, what does that mean? Well, from a backswing standpoint, we're going to turn the shoulders, draw the arms and hands back as well as the club, and we want to see the club draw back right along that red line. That means that the club is moving back on a proper swing plane. Through the early stages of the golf swing, through here, we also want to incorporate some good wrist hinge into play, so we want to transition the club head from being below and in front of our hands to now being above and behind our hands. At this point in time, we're now going to work the club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. And when we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we want to have the left arm in the club either on the yellow line, anywhere in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically up on blue as we see with Jordan Spieth. We also want to create full shoulder rotation, and we want to do this about a very stable right side, all the while maintaining our posture and our spinal axis. Okay? What I'm going to do with you is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little box around your head here because I want you to notice the elevation change that also occurs in your golf swing. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and initiate your takeaway. Now, because you're set up so open, very likely this club has to go outside of your swing plane. So there go your hands in the club. Obviously, it's going outside immediately as soon as you move the club back. Right about here, you get a pretty impressive correction into play. Normally, people keep taking their hands and arms outside who set up open like this, and they end up getting very steep with their arms at the top of the backswing, where the left arm would be definitely on the blue line or maybe even well above it. Right here, you create a big correction, and you start letting your hands and arms swing around you, which is fantastic. That's a great correction because you don't want to get into a steep position. You rather get into a little bit of a shallower position. So watch as you continue to move your hands and arms back here. Now all of a sudden you're back on plane. You're swinging things around you. Incredibly, you actually get the club a bit laid off, which means the club head is inside of the red line and almost the shaft's parallel to the ground. We got to get a little bit of hinge into play to get this thing back on the same angle as red. And right about there you get some hinge, and now the club's back in good position. Look at the movement though of your head. Look how much you're standing up out of your posture, okay? And we're not even done yet. So as we continue to take that golf club back to the top, when we finally set the golf club, you definitely shallow out your arms, so that's fantastic. You rotate your shoulders. You got a stable right side, although you are falling to the outstep of your right foot. You should be keeping the weight on the instep of your right foot. But a big issue here is you do need to learn how to create a backswing where we rotate and maintain our spinal axis. So what we can see with Jordan Spieth is that his spine is in this position. Well, where was his spine when he started? Well, the exact same position. Okay, so that's the whole point of achieving good posture, is that when we swing the golf club, we need to rotate off that axis. So here we are, he creates his rotation, everything I talked about, but he maintains that posture, right? There's no up and down movement in his golf swing. So you definitely need to learn to do that, because what we're going to see now as you go back to the ball, you're going to have to dive back down into this yellow box. The other thing too is we see a little bit of an overturn in your shoulders, arms swing a little too far, your arms compress to your core, club overswing. So we do need to learn how to set the club a little bit better at the top of the backswing, and ideally we'd like to learn how to bring it back via a better swing plane and understand how that's achieved, and obviously off of better alignment. Okay, so as we create our transition back into the ball, well, what should happen? Well, we should be moving our weight from our right foot to our left foot now, firing the knees and the hips laterally to the target, unwind the core and fire the hands. And firing the hands, we got to bring the golf club from wherever we set it in that blue-yellow V zone, and we got to bring the golf club back down onto red, which is where the club originated. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club has returned back to being on plane. So at this point in time, what we want to take a look at is we want to take a look at the relationship between the lead forearm and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark, and this simply means that his club head is remaining above and behind his hands coming into the hitting zone. And this is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing. Aside from the fact, what happened there? Aside from the fact that the club had returned back to plane, which is ultimately going to allow us to hit the ball straight, as that is a main criteria in producing straight golf shots. Okay, very important position right here. Actually, the most important position dynamically. So let's go ahead and watch you create your transition back into the ball here. So hands come over the top. They're shooting sort of down yellow, out towards blue. You're diving back down into the box. And at this point in time, what we can take a look at is we can take a look at your lead forearm and your club and say, hey, you know what? We got a backwards check mark, so creating some power in the golf swing won't be an issue. The only problem is your club head is not starting to return to where? Yeah, it's not returning back to the red line. It's not returning back to on plane. So as we continue to track into the golf ball, all we're going to see is we're going to see that this club head continues to fall further and further out in front of you. So there it is there. Next frame, further out in front. There we are. So if we just simply connect the dots here, we can get a really good visual as to exactly what that descending plane looked like with the club head. And notice that it came over the top. It's coming in the ball too steep, and therefore we're going to be attacking the ball from outside to inside. Whereas we notice with Jordan Spieth, his club returned back to plane here. That would be your frame right about here. And at that point in time, we can also notice that his club tracks into the ball directly from that red line. So as I've already stated, this is, again, ultimately why we hit a straight golf shot in accordance to our alignment. And then lastly, assuming obviously the club face squares up via having a good grip. Okay, so we can see that the downswing planes are vastly different at this point in time. We can take a look at the path of the club. Jordan's club is inside the ball, expands out to make contact, moves through in a nice natural subtle arc. Your club is too much outside the ball, dropping down across. So watch where it goes in this next frame. So it drives right across. Okay, so very simply put, if we square the club face up to that swing path, obviously what's going to happen is we're going to pull the ball in that direction as anticipated, based on the fact that you're swinging there and you're aiming there. So hopefully you leave the face a little bit open, and we can, impart a little bit of left-right spin, and we can sort of fade the ball back online, and there's no issues. If we over-release the club to the path, now the problem is that the ball stays left, has right to left spin, and now we hit some form of a pull draw or pull hook, depending on how much that club face closed and how much spin we're putting on the ball. If we happen to leave the club face open to the path, incredibly, we can actually start the ball to the right. And obviously, in order to do that, considering we're swinging so far left, then the club face was massively open, and we're going to impart a ton of left to right spin, and that shot's now going to turn into more of a block slice. So the end result of the golf shot is dictated based on the timing of the club face. Because the golf club is attacking the ball from the outside, striking the ball and moving across, if we happen to square the face up, it'll follow red. If we over-release the club, it'll follow the blue arrows. If we leave it just a hair open, it'll follow the smaller red arrows and there won't be an issue. And if we leave it too wide open, then it follows yellow. I also want you to notice that point of impact here, that your right heel is flat on the ground, so you're keeping a lot of weight back. We really didn't create any weight shift or knee work like we talked about with Jordan Spieth. And what we want to see with Jordan through the golf ball is that his right heel keeps coming off the ground. He gets up on the toe of his right foot. This allows our weight to get to the left side, allows the hips to square around and the shoulders to fully rotate. Excuse me, losing my voice here. And allows him to get to a good finish. Okay, so let's see if you're creating that footwork through. So we don't. So one of the things you definitely want to do in your golf swing, it's a pretty simple move. Just learn how to get off that right heel as we come back into the ball. Learn how to keep getting off that right heel and up on your toe. Okay, it's just proper footwork. It's pretty simple to do, and once you start incorporating, you'll get yourself through to a better finishing position. Okay, I do want to look at where your club face was with this out to in path here. So let's just check out your club face. Yeah, so your club face remained considerably open. You're blocking the ball out to the right of where you're swinging. That ball's going to get out in the air. We can clearly see it right here at the tip of that arrow. And that ball's going to have left to right spin. It's going to have to keep working to the right, and you're very likely you're going to lose that ball into the water on this particular swing. Okay? Anyways, there's some nice athletic motion here from you. I mean, your hands work well. You bring your hands back, you fire them through. You coil well. You coil, you uncoil. Need to give me better footwork coming through to get yourself through to a better finish. Okay? And then at that point in time, you know what? We got to learn how to square ourselves up with respect to our alignment. Then learn how to create a backswing and rotate so we don't stand up out of our posture. And then at that point, we got to try and figure out how to get the golf club coming down in the ball from on plane. Okay, there is potential here from you, but obviously you have to get yourself on a bit of a program to implement these things. And if at any point in time you want to work on it, I'm over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. I'd be happy to structure a program for you. Anyways, also if you're involved with any golf tournaments at all, and you guys are looking for a unique gift to provide your guests, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to discuss my swing analysis services. Anyway, also hope you had a fantastic day, and I hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video. Take care.